Hello and welcome. One of the biggest challenges in leadership, and in life really, is finding that balance, right? How do you create enough space for people to grow without losing focus? How do you give clear direction without suffocating the potential in the room? Today, we're going to dig into a really profound ancient idea that gives us a powerful framework for this. And it all starts with a huge, almost mind-bending question.
So think about this for a second. If you have something that's truly infinite, absolutely without limits, filling everything, how can anything else possibly exist? How could our finite world, with all its edges and rules and limitations, even get a foothold? It's a real paradox, isn't it? Where does the space for us come from if the divine is everywhere?
Well, ancient mystical thought has a beautiful answer for this, and it's a concept called tzimtzum. Now, the key here is that this isn't about God disappearing or going away. Not at all. It's more like a conscious act of pulling back. Imagine taking a deep breath in to make room around you. The infinite contracts, it withdraws, just enough to create a space where the finite where it can be. And what's fascinating is that this contraction happens in two totally different but connected ways. All right, so let's look at these two forms of contraction. The first is about creating space, and the second is all about giving purpose. This is really the heart of the whole framework. So for creation, think of the contraction as concealment. It's about pulling back the infinite light to make space for a reality like ours to even exist. But then for revelation, the contraction works differently. It's more like condensation. It's taking that infinite, boundless light and focusing it, distilling it down to give purpose to that reality. So you've got one move that makes the world possible and another move that tells us what it's all for, the what and the why. Okay, let's dive into that first piece. Creating space through concealment. I just love the imagery here, a womb-like space. It's so powerful, right? The space isn't empty or abandoned. It's a space of pure potential. This is exactly what we mean when we talk about creating a space for becoming. It's a protected place, one where something new can emerge and grow on its own terms, without being completely overwhelmed by this infinite, all-encompassing presence. And here's a fascinating piece of evidence that points to this idea of concealment rather than absence. In the creation story, the name used for God is Elohim. Now, what's amazing is that in Hebrew, this name has the exact same numerical value as the word for nature, ha-teva. It's like a hidden signature, suggesting that the divine presence isn't gone. It's woven right into the fabric of the natural world, just concealed. So, creating a world is one thing, but what's it for? A world with just space and no direction is incomplete. And that brings us to the second kind of contraction, giving purpose through condensation.
So if creation was about concealment, pulling back to make space, revelation is the opposite move. It's about condensation. Think about it. How do you take an infinite, boundless, divine will and make it understandable to finite human beings? You have to condense it. You have to focus it down into something tangible, something we can actually hold on to, like the specific letters and words of the 10 Commandments.
And this is where it gets just absolutely beautiful. The very first word of the 10 Commandments is anochi, which means I, but it's understood to be so much more. It's seen as an acronym for a phrase that means, I have written myself down and given myself to you. Wow. Can you imagine a more potent act of condensation? The entire essence of the divine, distilled into a single word, handed over as a gift of purpose. Okay, so we've seen these two big ideas, concealment and condensation. But it gets even deeper. It turns out creation and revelation aren't just two separate events. They're actually built on the exact same blueprint. The parallels here are just stunning. So check this out. The opening verse for the story of creation, it has 7 words and 28 letters. And the opening verse for the 10 Commandments? Exactly the same. 7 words, 28 letters. This isn't just a coincidence. It's seen as a deep structural signature, a clue that these two moments, creating the world and giving it a purpose, are really two sides of the same coin. And you can see this process of condensation as a kind of funnel. It's amazing. We start with the 620 letters of the tablets, which are said to contain all 620 commandments. That huge body of wisdom gets funneled down into just the first 2 commandments, which cover all the positive and negative duties. Then it gets even tighter into the first commandment, then into that first powerful word, anochi. And finally, unbelievably, all of it is said to be held in potential within the very first letter, aleph. And this brings the whole thing together so perfectly.
The first letter of creation is bait. Its numerical value is 2, and it symbolizes the duality and multiplicity of our physical world. Light and dark, up and down, me and you. But the first letter of revelation is aleph. Its value is 1. It symbolizes the underlying unity, the singular, clarifying purpose that allows us to navigate all that duality. It's the journey from 2 back to 1.
Okay, this has been a really deep dive into a powerful concept. But what does it have to do with us, right here, right now? How do we take this from concept to practice? Well, this isn't just an ancient story. It's a living framework for our own lives and our leadership.
The truth is, each of us is a living expression of this same dynamic. You have this vast, almost infinite potential inside you, your ideas, your creativity, your energy, but you live in a finite world with real limits. So the real work of presence-driven leadership is to learn how to practice your own personal tzimtzum. It's about developing that internal authority to know when to pull back and create space, and when to condense your focus and provide clarity.
So here's a really practical way to apply this, a framework for your own presence-driven leadership. Think about these 2 moves. First, concealment, which is about creating space. Ask yourself, where can I intentionally withdraw my need to fix things or control the outcome, to create a real space for becoming for my team? And then condensation, which is about distilling purpose. Ask, what is the one core message, the one essential mission that I need to condense into crystal clear action to give everyone direction? This is how we practice moving from reactivity to true responsibility.
And that really leaves us with one last big question to set with. We tend to see our own limits, our constraints, the things we can't do, as a problem, as a lack. But what if that's the wrong way to look at it? What if your limitations are actually a necessary contraction, a deliberate focusing of your unique gifts designed to help you fulfill a very specific purpose? How might that single shift in perspective change your entire approach to your life and your work?